Hello and welcome to the show. On this week's Downhill Chaos we start with the ATV or quad bike or whatever you might call it, and we're going to give this a go. It should be pretty damn good going downhill. This thing is built for going off-road, as these blooming hikers, every week the hikers come and get in the way, and then I do a burnout and then they get scared. And I don't know where the one on the left's gone. He's just wandering down, literally down the mountain. They try to go down the path. Yeah, the hikers are some of the dumbest but funniest AI I think I see in GTA. Anyway, as I said, yeah, this thing is mighty good off-road. It's designed for going off-road. It does have a little problem, much like the Golf Caddy and the Bifter. What was it? The beach buggy. It is rather light. In this case, it's very, very small as well, which means that when you hit bumps it does kind of get bounced around a little bit. It's got fantastic brakes. It gets stopped really quickly because it weighs practically nothing. I didn't get the hairpin particularly correctly there on the first attempt with it, but yeah, it stops very, very well. It's pretty fast accelerating as well. However, it can get a little bit sort of bounced around. It can land jumps a bit awkwardly and end up spinning out through sort of no fault of your road. It just lands the jump and sort of spins around again there. It just gets carried away. It can just get affected by the bumps a little bit too much, making it a little bit tricky to drive off-road. However, it is, when you're not trying to go down a very specific course, it is rather good, as I'm now going up almost a sheer mountainside and the quad bike is climbing. Yeah, it's a pretty damn good off-road vehicle, that. If it can go up there, I mean, that's a really blooming steep thing, and it didn't even have a run up or anything because it sort of fell off the road. Yeah, it's a good off-road vehicle. It's just the landing from the bumps like that kind of screws it over. I mean, you can get it sort of spun round, you can get it stopped before you go sailing off into the scenery because the brakes are so good, but yeah, it ruins a run when you manage to do that. However, it really didn't take too long with the quad bike to get it all the way down the mountain. Now, if you want to know where you can find this, I'm not sure at what point it starts spawning, but I know at the end of the game, if you go to, I think it's one of the trailers, it might even be Trevor's trailer, it's parked out front there. Any of the characters can pick it up and have a go with it. And yeah, I think it's just a visual change. I don't think it actually makes any difference to the actual vehicle. You'll have noticed at the start of the run, I was trying my best to avoid the people. When it comes to one of these sort of small light vehicles, you really want to try and avoid running over stuff that you really don't have to, as you can throw it around. As you saw when it bounced over the Cougar, that almost caused some problems. In the end, I did end up clipping one of the hikers because I was going to take an even worse line. You don't want to go too wide at that first corner. It's one of the trickier corners here. So yeah, I will take running over one or just clipping one of them rather than trying to fight that rock. I got lucky on the bounce this time, landed it properly, didn't go sailing off into the scenery, which is always nice to see. Again, this jump down here is one of the biggest jumps on the course. It has the least problems with landing it though. I'm not quite sure why. I guess it's a flatter surface that it's landing on. Again, down here I could brake so late into this second to last corner. I thought it was about to spin out there. I thought I'd screwed it up, but no, the quad bike made it all the way down to the bottom very quickly as well. Yeah, fairly easy thing to drive off-road. It's a blooming quad bike. It's designed for this sort of thing. However, you have to be careful. It is very light and very small and can get bounced around. And then some cyclists appeared from nowhere. Not quite sure where they blooming came from, but yeah, quad bike is good off-road. What more did you expect from this thing? As for the silly car this week, well, everybody, it seems, wanted to see me drive a limo down here. Now, I've noticed a few people have been asking, how do I get the vehicles up here? If they're drivable sensibly on their own, so like the quad bike, like the off-road cars, even if it's like Michael's tailgater, I'll just drive them up to the top of the mountain. It's the easiest and quickest way of doing things. I'll quick save at the top, and then when you reload it, if there is any damage on it, it will be gone. With the case of the limo, this one can actually be spawned in with a cheat code in single player, so I just did that as it's easiest. If it can't be spawned in, then I'll get a cargo bob and I will lift it up to the top of the mountain. I'll then sort of dump it down, get in the car, quick save, and then it will always be at the top of the mountain. But yeah, with this car, it can be spawned in, so I just did that. Otherwise, it would have been a faff of trying to find one and getting it to the cargo bob. That's also why I play as Michael for this challenge, is because in my single player game I've got a cargo bob with him, so I can use that to lift vehicles up to the top. Either way, one of the problems with the Limo is very poor brakes. As yeah, I tried to get it stopped, it didn't work, and then I Italian jobbed it. I got it completely wedged, and there was nothing I could do. I could wiggle the steering, it just wiggled the car left and right. It wasn't gonna sort of push it forward. Yeah, I couldn't do much with it, so I resorted to trying to kick the car off the edge of the cliff, because there was not much else I could do with it, because it was completely wedged. That didn't work. Well, it took a while. I kicked it quite a few times, and it really did not want to fall off. I tried running across the car, I tried jumping on the back of it. That didn't work. I punched the air there. That wasn't intended. I came back down to finally finish off the job. There it goes. Managed to kick the car free, and off it goes, tumbling down the mountain. Yeah, the brakes on the Limo are a real problem. Not sure whether it's just the car not being, like the brakes on this thing not being that good, or whether it's the extra weight or quite what it is. I had some problems getting it stopped. The first corner down there was one of the problem areas. I also love how it wobbles when when you fall off the mountain, when it's sort of tumbling. It does this really bizarre wobble around in midair. I'm not doing anything about that. That's just it doing it on its own. I managed to get it stuck on a tree. The brakes were the biggest problem, by a long way. Not really the size as much as the just not getting it stopped for a corner. And again, I managed to get... I'm not even sure how I got it wedged here. I guess it kind of bottomed out, possibly. Yeah, I guess that's the only way that it would make sense. I managed to move it forward, but not move it backwards. So, yeah, I parked it a few times. The low ride height, while yes, it is a problem for these road cars, it's not as terrible as it should be in reality. Again, can we get it stopped? No, we can't. We're gone. And then much wobble. Yeah, the low ride height should cause this car... It would be destroyed if you tried this in real life. However, on GTA, it is okay. Although the extra length and the distance in between wheels meant it could bottom out if you went off the course. If you followed the course normally, you didn't really have any problems. As we tumbled down, I think I lost almost all of the bits that could come off the car, came off the car. Front bumper, two fenders, bonnet, apart from the boot and rear bumper, I think. Everything else pretty much came off the car. The length did play a little bit of a part. So far you've seen most of these failures have just been breaking things. The length wasn't as bad a problem as you would expect. You see, again, it was the brakes that caused problems with this car. Yeah, I was expecting this to be a nightmare, just kind of manoeuvring it around, and while yes, it's a great big Limo, it is a little bit less manoeuvrable, and this hairpin is a bit of a pain. It wasn't as bad as expected. Yeah, you could still get it wrong at the hairpin and go off the cliff. It was nowhere near as bad as the bus. What's going on? Physics no make sense on GTA. I don't quite know how that one works. But yeah, the length wasn't too much of an issue. I guess this is lighter and slightly more manoeuvrable than a bus, so that it was actually possible to get the car, or the Limo, around the hairpin. This wasn't the cleanest of around the hairpins. Almost managed to roll the blooming thing. But yeah, it could go around there. It was a little bit tricky. Yeah, you lost a fair bit of time because you had to get it slowed, and you had to almost slide it into the hairpin to try and get the back end round. In the end, I think on this particular run, I managed to bin it further round. Look at that. I was sliding a Limo. Not very often that you say that. Anyway, it's a couple of attempts later, and I managed to get a clean run with this vehicle. It took a while with the Limo. It was the brakes that were really the big sort of problem getting used to. Also, much like the van, this had a rather a sort of a lot... Is that the right way of putting it? A high front weight distribution thing. The front of the car often found its way into the ground, which made a little bit of a problem over some of the jumps. That early section was very, very tricky and everything, but especially in this, of course, and getting it stopped for that first corner as well. It's a fair problem. Over this bit here again, you're losing quite a bit of time trying to get it slowed down for these corners, and you're going to lose time in the hairpin. Wasn't the best of the hairpin turns that I did on this run itself, but I didn't lose very much time in doing it, or no more than you would normally. Because of the length of the vehicle, you can't really aim for the alternate routes to try and avoid these jumps. because it's so long, it takes such a long time to get it turned, you'd lose more time than you would just kind of taking it very cautiously over the jumps. Around here, the length of the car really wasn't too much of a problem. The camera wasn't too happy about it, but the actual length of the vehicle wasn't too bad. I was worried about getting stopped for that corner there. You did have a few problems, as I said many times in this. Yeah, the brake's no good, but on the whole, I was really surprised at how well the Limo did. It was fairly manoeuvrable. I almost took the wrong turn in trying to get it stopped and took a far bigger jump there than I would have liked. Again, final corner. A little bit concerned about getting it pulled up for this one. Ran very wide and just got away with it. And the Limo goes around the final corner. Whew, I was pleased to be done with the Limo, although it really didn't take as long to complete this one as I feared it might. Certainly it didn't take anywhere near as long as the Bifter. I was then doing sort of a burnout and nearly went very wrong as I started to go off the edge of the whatever hill I'm on at the moment. Yeah, it doesn't sort of do burnouts as well. It kind of moves around a lot because it is a rather large car. But yeah, both vehicles, I shouldn't really say cars, they're not really cars. Both vehicles made it to the bottom of the mountain, and it is a new record for the quad bike in a 1:17.09. Every week I say we've got another fast time that I don't think is going to be beaten for a while, but that quad bike is mighty fast out there. If you can get a clean run with it, if you don't spin out, even if it spins out, I would imagine it would still probably have beaten the Bifter. It was really very quick. The Limo did rather well. It did a 39.9. Okay, it's not on the first page of times, but that's up with the Sand King almost, and the Sand King is a big 4x4. So yeah, the Limo, I'm impressed with the Limo. It did really rather well for what it is. It's a lot more manoeuvrable than I expected it to be. Anyway, that is it for this week's Downhill Chaos. I apologise, a little bit of a short video. All manner of technical problems have occurred over this past weekend. I've tried to fix them as best I can. I'm amazed I've got a blooming video for today. Will it roll in Gran Turismo will be coming at some point. I just can't tell you when. I'd hoped it would be for today, but it won't be. I'm not entirely sure. When the computers start working properly again, I will let you know sometime in the coming week, I hope. I am doing the best I can. However, that is it for today, so thank you very much for watching. If you have cars you would like to see me drive down the mountain, please do let me know in the comment section. I will have a look through, and the most popular will be in a video at some point. However, until next time, goodbye.